Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We are pushing to 6,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, and thank you for all the support. But before we begin, G Mike, and then also too, like with you, Ernie, please plug your show. Please let the people know where they can find you on social media and YouTube.
Yeah. You guys can find me on IG at G Mike Media _ YouTube, same thing. TikTok, same thing. And then on Twitter at George Mike Perez. I run a podcast myself called The G Perspective on all current sports going on right now. And big time Miami Heat fan since I was a kid, baby. So thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
And as far as myself, what's up, guys? I'm Ernie Diaz. I don't really have a show to promote or anything like that. I'm just a passionate Miami Heat fan. So I kind of like to think of myself as the voice of the city. But you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Negra Baby. That's 3 A's at the end of Negra, 3 A's at the end of Baby. Just follow me, man. Hot takes on sports, passionate Miami sports fan, especially when it comes to the Heat.
All right, so then we'll start with you, I guess, Ernie. You were cooking Pat Riley the other day. Please elaborate, because I just think that this is really all Pat Riley's fault. Yep. I would, probably even say it's probably 90% him and then 10% Jimmy, only because it's his job to build this roster. And I just think that with bad asset management and poor roster construction is the reason why we haven't won a championship. So please, I saw your take the other day, but I have to hear you cook again on Pat Riley. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So before I say this, I'll start by saying to all Pat Riley fans, like myself, I believe in Pat Riley. I think Pat Riley is a great executive. At the same time, two things can be true. I think Pat Riley's way of thinking and his style is outdated in today's NBA. When it pertained to my last video, it came down to what had Pat Riley really done for the Heat in the last 10 to 15 years, really. As far as getting LeBron James, we all know that Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh coming together before that had a lot to influence that decision. As far as missing on key free agents, you can go back to guys like Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie, Dame Lillard. It's just, as a Miami Heat fan, the frustration is that somebody who's so in touch with the organization and who did so much for the city has now completely lost sight of that. And I don't want to make the drastic comparison, but it almost reminds me of Jerry Jones and the Cowboys in the NFL. The way Pat Riley is running the Heat right now, where it's my way or the highway. This is the way we do things. The fact that he really came out before the statement saying that this team was good enough to compete with Boston, and yet we just got destroyed by a 7-25 Utah team who's clearly tanking, just goes to show you that he's lost complete touch with the team, the fan base, the city. And I never thought I'd see the day where I agree with something Paul Pierce said, that Pat Riley is single-handedly destroying the culture right now. And I wouldn't take it that far, but he's definitely had a lot to do with the destruction of the Heat and their failures.
At least he's Martel, you're on mute, but at least he's the president of basketball operations and not the president of the United States at 80 years old. Yeah, there's a time to give it up. He had his prime, and I'm a big fan of Pat Riley. Anybody who talks shit on him, I still think he has a right to be here to a certain degree, because my question is kind of like, when you say fire one of the best coaches and there's delusional Heat fans that say fire Spo, like who else is out there that's better? What other NBA GM or exec could replace him? Because he's still, I think he's not senile like Biden. I don't want to bring politics into this, right? He still seems clear and sharp, but he's not.
No, he's not, Amir.
Stop.
Hold on one second, Amir.
He's not. He doesn't have dementia. Okay, like come on, like that's ridiculous. But I'm just saying, hey, I agree with what you're saying, Ernie. Though, he had his time. He's still lucid, but he hasn't done anything in the last 10 years. But I will never talk shit on him and say he's washed and he's sleeping and all that crap yet, because of what he's done. Only 11 teams have ever won 2 championships or more ever. We're one of those 11 teams. 11 teams have not won. That's a third of the league. So we're privileged that he's brought us 3, but it's been 10 years. Things need to change. He's 80 years old. He needs to retire. The normal age for anybody to retire from a normal job is 65. What are we doing here, right? I love him, but I think you're right. I agree.
All right, go ahead, G Mike.
For me, I think just speaking on the last 5 years with the Jimmy era, right? I feel like Pat Riley, he had his soul focused on Tyler Herro is going to be that next person. He's going to be that next piece that we need, and he's going to step up to the plate. He's going to give us consistent scoring and consistent defense that we're going to need through all these years that Jimmy's going to be here and try to take us to the playoffs, to the conference finals, and to the finals. Jimmy took us to 2 finals. Both finals, we had severely solidified injuries where it couldn't give us to where we wanted to in the promised land. Like the first finals when we went up against the Los Angeles Lakers. We didn't have Goran Dragic, and he was a centerpiece for our team to give us at least 15 to 20 points a game, which we lost that. And then we saw what Jimmy had to do. He had to put on that whole show of that big triple-double that the only other person that has done it is LeBron James and all that. And then when we go against the Nuggets, we don't have Tyler Rozier, and then Jimmy playing on a wobbled foot, barely playing out there. And then obviously Tyler Hero wasn't playing. So there's a lot of injuries there when it comes to the finals on why we couldn't probably get to the promised land. Not saying that we would have beat the Lakers or the Nuggets, but it would have been a completely different series. So with just Pat Riley on the whole Tyler notion, I felt like he thought that Tyler, these last 4 to 5 years, he was going to be that guy to help out Jimmy and Bam, and he wasn't. Now he's proven it now this season, but it's already too late in Jimmy's eyes, and you can see that he's getting frustrated on the court. He doesn't want to be here no more, and obviously now he's saying it. So, yeah, I put a lot of blame on Pat Riley. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we could have moved. We could have got Donovan Mitchell. We could have got Kevin Durant. We could have got Kyrie Irving. But in those trades, it was like we weren't offering Tyler Hero. And when we finally offered Tyler Hero for Damian Lillard, it was already too late. And obviously the GM for the Portland Trail Blazers was like, no, I'm not sending you over there because that's where you want to be.
Now my boy Michael has joined the stream. Hey, Michael, please shout out your channel before we begin and just give your overall take on Pat Riley and just his poor roster construction and his bad asset management and just the current status of the Miami Heat.
Oh, okay. So after Nose Hoops and my channel, we just hit 1K subs. That was a pretty awesome feat to do. So, you know, only up from here. I usually just talk overall NBA, but talking about Pat Riley, I think part of the problem is, to be 100% honest, he bet on Bam and Hero being those 2 and 3 guys next to Jimmy. And, like, here's the thing. Like, Bam defensively obviously has always given you what he's given you. But offensively, his game is basically stagnated. Like, it's basically been the same since around that 19 to 20 season. And with that lack of a jump, along with, at the same time, to be honest, like, you know, Jimmy complains about, you know, not feeling like you compete or whatever. It's also hard to compete when you're missing however many games because you're hurt or you're, you know, well, there was one game he missed where it was like ramping up conditioning or something. I'm like, bro, like when you're sitting out games too and you're missing like, there's some stat. I think Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers has had a 60-game season. I don't even think Jimmy Butler's done that. Like he hasn't played like 65 games or more. Like that's hard to do. And I think you guys are right for sure. The lack of some of the trades. I think the bigger issue, though, to be honest, instead of getting to what ifs of like, oh, what if they got Kyrie? What if they got James Harden? Is more so, why did you do some of these trades like to get Terry Rozier? Why did you give up a first-round pick for Terry Rozier in 2024 or 2023? Why did you do that? Like, why did you – and mind you, too, the one thing about Jimmy that I think we got to talk about, they went for his guy, Kyle Lowry, too. And I'm pretty sure – I don't know. Did you guys give up a pick for Lowry? Or did you just what did you trade for Lowry?
I think it was Goran Dragic and
Precious.
It was Precious, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we lost the second round for tampering or something, right? I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
by the
yeah,
way,
yeah, okay. Yeah,
we also drafted Precious before Tyrese Maxey, but I digress.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, too, you could talk about is more so just like the scouting of everything and stuff like that, too, of the Heat in terms of just first rounders, especially when you do have them, because I mean, we've seen guys like Tyrese Maxey fall all the way down to the Sixers. I'm pretty sure he was, in the late 20s, I think, Maxey, or in the mid-teens or something. It was something crazy. So, I don't know. I think Pat Riley, I think, is the big figurehead to it, but I think the Heat culture as a whole, I think, isn't as sound as we think it is. And when you really, stop and think about it.
Now my boy Nick is in the building. Nick, what are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with Pat, man. I think it's just time for him to pack it up. I'm just gonna be completely honest and not politically correct here. Look, I think honestly, I'm embarrassed, especially by that mural today, to be like a Miami Heat fan, low key, because and even just the things I've been seeing said about Jimmy. After everything he's done, he's never opened his mouth until now. He's never done anything until now. And you know what I mean? Honestly, he has done a lot with less. We talk about him not showing up for games, right? we're basically expecting this guy to average 25 plus a game for 82 games. We don't want him to miss no games for 82 games and then turn it on in the playoffs for that run too. It's we're asking him to do impossible things, y'all, and we've been asking him to do that for 5 seasons now. And then a 6th one, it's like a slap in the face now when after all I've done, you come in the summer, you basically, call me out in front of everybody, in front of the world, because I was joking around at a party, like, yo. And then instead of just looking the man in the face and say, listen, we're not going to extend you. We're perfectly fine with letting you go as a free agent. We just want to see what we can do with you this season. Just being upfront with him. And that's the problem. The Arisons and Pat have been doing bad business since Wade. And we just have to call it what it is. And I'll just leave it there. Bro.
Now, my boy Johnny, he's in the building from GOAT James Kingdom. Just briefly, real quick, because we're all trying to make quick takes here, but just let the people know where they can find you and the content that you make on YouTube.
No doubt. Peace and blessings, fellas. Again, I'm Johnny the Exposer from the GOAT James Kingdom platform. Big time Heat fan. And just like most of y'all, devastated and disappointed with what we got to deal with. So, again, GOAT James Kingdom right here on YouTube, on any other platform, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You know the way to find us. GOAT James Kingdom. It's not that hard. Appreciate it, Martel, and you guys for having me up here.
Hey, but what is your take right now on Pat Riley and what's going on with Jimmy Butler?
I told you this was gonna happen, Martel. I doubled down with what Nick said, man. Pat Riley dropped the ball on this one. You know what I'm saying? He legitimately did. Y'all saying stuff about Jimmy not playing games. The last 2 seasons, he's played more games in Miami than he did the 3 years prior to that. So again, Jimmy was the guy that we needed to bring in to show people that we are still a franchise trying to win, trying to do the right thing. Pat Riley's very stubborn. And this ego got to go. This 1900s mentality that the team is over the player no longer exists in today's NBA. That's why he can't land a star, because he keeps telling stars they have to sacrifice all of this stuff for the Heat. And nobody wants to do that anymore. These guys are not interested in that. So he fumbled the bag with LeBron, he fumbled the bag with Wade, and now he's fumbling the bag with Jimmy. I told you this, Martel. If you don't tell Jimmy the truth, you don't keep Jimmy with respect, he would do exactly what he's doing right now. And that's what we're seeing is that he wants his respect, and he earned it. I'm a player guy. Give him his money. We're not paying for Jimmy. We're paying for our reputation. The Miami Heat have a bad reputation with players, and we can't get no star if Pat Riley continues to do this and behave this way.
Now we have Davey from Davey's Doghouse. Davey, please let the people know where can they find you, and just give us your overall takes on Pat and Jimmy and what's going on.
What's going on, everybody? You can find me on Dave's Doghouse on YouTube. Also, Refuse to Lose, this is what I have in the background. That's also on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Dave's Doghouse. That's DAVESDAWGHOUSE_. So you can find me on Instagram. My comments about Pat Riley and the Heat situation is really no different than what everyone else has been saying. It's been really pretty much the same thing. Martel, I think I told you this before. I'm just tired of the same thing when it comes to Pat Riley. It's like there's no accountability when it comes to Pat Riley. He just it's whatever he says goes. And the only time I defended Pat Riley on something is when the whole LeBron and Eric Spoelstra situation. That's probably the only thing I defended Pat Riley on. But other than that, like Johnny said, like Nick said, like everyone else said, Pat Riley is the reason why we're where we are right now. Who said he culture? Who talked about he culture? It's Pat Riley. Pat Riley is the one that said it. So if he's the one that sets he culture, then he has the one that has to change. One thing about, if you think about any kind of business, if you fail to change, then you fail to succeed. That's pretty much how it's going to be. If you're not willing to change as someone who's been in the league for a long time, you've been with the Showtime Lakers. We know how they feel about you there. And you know how Miami feels about you here. But Miami Heat is also going to hold you accountable. I mean, we haven't seen a championship ring since 2013. We haven't seen a championship raised since then. It's been 11 years, about to be 12 years. Because, I mean, who honestly believes that we're going to go to the NBA Finals this year? Let's just really be honest. We don't have the roster. We don't have nothing right now. We just got blown out by 60 by the Utah Jazz. So Pat Riley. This is all Pat. The thing, when you signed Jimmy Butler, you knew what you had when Jimmy got here. You knew what his attitude was. You knew the reputation he had from Chicago, from Philly to Minnesota. You knew exactly what you was getting with Jimmy Butler. And you knew that he was a player that's going to play on both ends of the floor, but he also wants other players that's going to play just like that. He wants another star with him. And yes, I get it. You can blame Jimmy or whatever for having Kyle Lowry over here. We got Kyle Lowry too late. We got him 2-3 years too late. Plain and simple. I think Chill has said that on the show a couple shows ago. But this is on Pat. I mean, you can give Jimmy some blame for quitting on the team, but if Pat never tells Jimmy to shut up in public, we don't have the situation.
Now,
I don't think that's true, though.
Huh?
You think that's true, though? The whole shut up? I think it's just the money piece. I know Pat's messed up in a bunch of ways, obviously, like in the last 10 years. The whole undrafted bullshit, not putting the right players around Jimmy Butler, I get that. But also, Jimmy's never played more than 65 games, like Mike was saying before. He's missed 25-plus games. Why do you want to pay a 38-year-old $60 million? Like, I think it's a good business decision.
I'm not even saying that we should pay them. What I'm saying is we should have resolved this before this season.
But this should have been resolved. Jimmy thinks he's still good. He thinks he's worth the money. He thinks he can get to $54 million. That's part of the issue. I agree with everything you said before.
I think he is worth the money. I think he is worth the money.
He's definitely
I'm not saying it's not with the money. I think it's with the money too, but it's also about how you treat Jimmy. People know Jimmy. It depends on how you treat him. If you treat Jimmy good, he'll sacrifice some time to stay there.
Get him off my team. Bye.
I'm saying, like, the whole thing about Jimmy, though, we were talking about that shit earlier, is like getting them the help and not winning that ship in the 5-year bill. He's not mad about that. He wants to stay in Miami. He just wants the money, and he doesn't feel wanted. He said in that press conference before he asked for the trade, it's better to be wanted, right? He wanted to stay in Miami. He loves Miami. Like, he's content. He doesn't seem like a guy where he's gonna like have to win a championship before he retires. Even though I want him to, I want him to go to the Grizzlies or a team, the Warriors, where he can win a championship. Because I love Jimmy Butler.
Same.
But you know what I mean? Like, I still think it's about the money. I think it's just like, because he would have stayed. He's probably upset he hasn't won with the Heat.
About respect, bro.
I think it's two things. I think two things can be true.
That too, for sure. I agree.
Two things can be true here. I think it's also about the money, but I think it's mainly about the respect. Jimmy, if you look at everywhere he's gone, he's pretty much been disrespected. When it was Chicago, the reason he had the issues in the locker room with Rajon Rondo. Then you go to Philly, they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. It's another disrespect. You go to Minnesota, he had the issues with Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Then next thing you know, he's in Miami. Now he has an issue with Pat Riley. So it's all about giving Jimmy his respect. And look at what Jimmy has done for Heat Culture. He bought Heat Culture back up. He fit Heat Culture when we signed him. He's there was no one else we were going to sign that was going to do what Jimmy did because of what they put on him when he got here. They said when he got here, we weren't even going to make it out of the first round. They said that we weren't even going to be a good team because Jimmy got here. They said that he made the dumbest decision to come to Miami.
I didn't think we were that good. Yeah, I didn't think we were that good in 2020 either. I was shocked as good as we ended up playing, and I knew why, but I didn't think we were that good. At the end of the day, we're not paying for Jimmy really. We're paying for the reputation as the Heat.
Yeah.
And the Heat. I mean, not the Heat. The NBA just signed a $76 billion deal. These guys got money.
But the NBA is also losing money because of viewership. Viewership is down a lot this year.
They're not losing money. There's no viewership. They got $76 billion. They didn't lose no money. That's why I'm saying this. Like, and the players. No, that's how they got that's the viewership money. That's the TV rights. That's guaranteed money. For the next 11 years, the NBA is making $7 billion a year just off TV rights. Doesn't matter what happens with those games.
But hold on, guys, because he actually raised a pretty good question. What do you guys exactly mean by treating Jimmy good? But go ahead, Trent. I mean, you can kind of like elaborate on that because I think they've treated Jimmy pretty well. He even said it out of his own mouth that they allow him to be him. And I think, he's able to go into all these different hotels while he's on the road. He doesn't have to stay with the team. And I'm sure he gets a bunch of other privileges that a bunch of other Miami Heat former players never got. So, Trent, please just talk about that a little bit. What do you exactly mean by treating Jimmy well?
I mean, listen, I get the respect part. I get it. But at the end of the day, bro, It's a business. Fuck all that shit, man. We had our time, 5 years. 2 championships were 0-2, several Eastern Conference Finals, and this all goes to Pat Riley. But one thing y'all didn't bring up, Martel, real quick, was Spo. Why is Spo not getting brought up? Spo been doing one of his worst jobs these last couple seasons. Him and Pat Riley are the reason why this team is falling apart. Keep it a buck with you. Spo's rotations are terrible. His decisions lately have been terrible for the last couple of seasons. Like, we can look at Jimmy, we can look at Spo, but or Pat and stuff like that. But Spo been horrible. Like the two with Build Heat Nation, Spo and Pat Riley and stuff like that. These are the 2 guys we're relying on have been absolutely horrible. So the big question is, like, with Jimmy being there, with him being paid, nothing was going to be changed because Spo is stubborn too. He doesn't want to go into certain lineups. He doesn't want to put certain people in. You see how long it took Khalil Weir just to play. You see how long it took Jovic to get into the rotation a little bit. He is stubborn. He wants to play small ball. We can't play that because we don't have the personnel for small ball. You could play small ball for a certain amount of time, but you can't play it for the whole game. You have Thomas Bryant when he was on the team playing over. Kevin Love. We all love Kevin Love. He's their vet. We all know he should not be on the court. He just can't move. So we got to look at Spo. We got to look at Pat. But the thing is, they're not going nowhere. So we got to find another way to improve this team somehow, some way. And I just don't see it. They dropped the ball on Jimmy for sure. I look at both sides and I see both perspectives. I agree with the respect part because I'm big on respect, but I also understand Pat's side too. It's like, oh, listen, I'm telling you to do your job and you're not doing it. I just want to see you play basketball next year. Let's see how far you can. Let's see what you can do, and then I'm gonna pay you. That's what it seemed like it really came up to. But Jimmy is, I don't want to call him soft, but Jimmy is like, he can be a girl sometimes. Like, you say certain stuff.
You can say he has an ego issue.
He's sensitive. He's sensitive. He has a short fuse. He's sensitive. He's sensitive, and he has a short fuse. Yes.
So it's like, so when he told him to shut up, I knew that was gonna be a big deal. And I'm not, y'all wasn't in the panel. I called this out when he told him to shut up last time. I was like, yo, it's gonna be a big problem. Now we're at this position.
I said that on my show. I said
we're at this position. Jimmy now was sick. Comes back shooting one-legged three-pointers. You know why? He don't want to try. He's like, listen, you're not paying me. I don't want to get hurt. I still got to chase a contract. So they go suspend him now, and you better trade him before the suspension's over and done with, because this is going to get even more messy and messy. And if you keep Jimmy on the roster, and I'll let everybody else go after the suspension and after the trade deadline, this is going to be one of the brutalest seasons ever. And I think it already started after losing to one of the worst teams in the league. That's in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
Well, let me chime in real quick, right? So you asked, like, how can we respect Jimmy more, right? Basically, like I said, he's kept his mouth shut this whole time he's been here, right? He's come here without any help. We always bring up Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was the biggest free agent name in 2021. If we didn't get him, it would have been incompetence. We needed a point guard. He was there. He was Jimmy's friend. We got him. They did their job. Stop trying to make it seem like they went out their way. Jimmy urged them to get their friend. Jimmy also wanted Kyrie. Jimmy also wanted Dame. They failed. So that's number one. They could just have respected the man a little more. By looking at him in the face, they had no intentions of extending this man because of the things that you guys brought up about letting him get away with little things like not staying with the team, the hair, the emo stuff. Pat don't like that shit. So they were never going to extend this dude. They wanted him to play out his contract and then see what happens in the summer. And he's not going for it. He feels like it's disrespectful based on everything he's done for the team. And as a man, I feel him. That's just straight up. I'm not going to sit there and just say, all right, I'm going to play out my contract, especially after seeing what they did to Wade. That's basically what Wade did. He played out his contract and they fucked him. They didn't tell him, they didn't look at him in the face and say, hey, Wade, I ain't going to lie, that knee, bro, we really thinking about not signing you back. Just looking at him man to man and telling him after they doing all this family heat culture bullshit, right? Come on, bro. It's about respect, y'all. And at the end of the day, I just feel like the man feels disrespected. That's why he went in that press conference. And when that reporter told him, oh, Spo said they're going to use you as a point guard, he was like, that ain't going to help nothing. He's been patient with this front office. He's been patient. They gave him their ass to kiss, bro, this summer. And for what?
So then we're gonna go with Ernie, then G Mike, and then we're gonna go to Mike at the bottom. Real quick, what do you guys think about Bam Adebayo? Because people are frying Bam online. You know, he had 4 points the last game. And like I said, I really want to make sure that everyone can hear, you know, like your takes. So like I said, not to rush any of you guys, but just like if you guys could be quick about it. What is going on with Bam? He's supposed to be the all-star. They said that he's supposed to be the next guy to carry the pillar. He's the captain, but doesn't want to be the captain. There's a lot of different things going on. So what do you guys think about Bam? Ticket TV came on my platform and said that they need to trade him. He's the one holding back the Miami Heat. I don't think it's that bad. I think they just failed to put a 4 and a backup 5 behind him. And there's no point of attack defenders to even help him out. So please, Ernie, what's going on with Bam? And then we're going to go to G Mike, and then we're going to go to Mike down right there at the bottom.
Yeah, so my guy Bam, my favorite Idris, probably my favorite player on the Heat. I'm scared he's becoming a glorified Draymond Green. Like, it's a Draymond Green stat line every game. It's like 17, 10, and 9. It's set good picks, rebound the ball. You know, like he's so hesitant to take that 15 to 18 foot jump shot, which he's so lethal in. You can see him getting the ball, and he's second guessing himself offensively. The regression of Bam has a lot to do with the Heat's problem. And now the question for the Heat organization going forward is, what's the window? You know, because Bam was supposed to be part of that Jimmy window for a championship. So now, do you include Bam in that Tyler, Jovic, Triple J, Khalil Ware window? Like, does he now fit the future of the Heat? So not only is moving on from Jimmy going to be an issue, but I think a lot of Heat fans, like you mentioned, the question going forward, if Bam, like I said on G Mike's show the other day, there's no reason why Bam shouldn't be averaging 25 and 12 on a daily basis for this organization. So his regression really goes to put into thinking, like, is he part of the future for the Heat, or is he another piece that needs to be moved and build around Tyler and some of the other guys? So his regression has been fascinating, but it's a testament to the struggles of the team for sure.
Dude, it's simple for me with Bam. He plays too passive aggressive on offense. On defense, he plays great. He could play the 1 through 5. He could guard anybody on the court. There's no problem there. I don't think any of us are questioning his defense. But when it comes to his offense, we want him to be the captain, to be the forefront of this Miami Heat squad for years and years to come. But he's only taking 6 shots against a team that is literally in the Cooper Fag sweepstakes, like Trent was saying. Like, how are you going to be the captain of our squad when you're only taking 6 shots and you didn't even make one of those shots? You only got 4 points because you made 4 out of 6 free throws last game. And it's a trend that's happening all the time. Like Ernie and I had talked about. He should be taking at least 15 to 20 shots a game, just like Tyler Hero. If he's not going to be able to do that, then we need to trade him away and build around Tyler Hero. It's as simple as that, because we can't have this Miami Heat culture that we have, that we're so aggressive and people hate us when they come to when we go to their city, or when they come to our city, that it's always a dogfight. And we got our top player going out there lollygagging on offense. And I think, to me, it's kind of disrespectful to compare him to Draymond Green, because Draymond Green actually goes out there and plays like a dog on offense, even if he sucks. So it's like with Bam, he just needs to be more aggressive on offense. Take the layups, try to dunk on people, take the 3-pointers. We saw that you've been developing that. Take 3 of them a game if you have to. Who cares? If you're wide open, shoot the midi, bro. When you're on offense, you need to play aggressive and not passive aggressive.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I'll touch on Bam really quick. I honestly, I can't blame anyone but Bam at this point, because I mean, even throughout in the earlier years, like, you've seen Jimmy trying to tell him, like, be more aggressive, like attack more, like, you know what I mean? Like, he did the same thing with Joel Embiid back in the day. You know, there's that famous clip of him screaming to shoot the 3-ball. Like, Jimmy wants his, you know, his co-stars or whatever to improve, but Bam is that's just not him at that point. Like, quite frankly, like, I think we expect, or we wanted, Bam and Tyler to be these, like, you know, 2 and 3 options that were going to be a big 3, and they just never were that. Like, at the end of the day, they just weren't. Tyler, in part because of every other year he would be injured and then come back and then not be as good and then be hurt again and then, you know, in and out of the lineup. And Bam just doesn't have the aggression. But I did have a question for you guys. So do you guys look at Jimmy right now? Now, Jimmy's not playing as bad as this player was. But do you look like you guys have a Russell Westbrook contract? Like, who are you moving off? Because you remember now, the second apron makes things a lot harder, and the first apron. Because now you have to – a lot of teams can't just like, oh, we'll just like throw in whatever to make money match. You can't do that. Yeah. Like, some teams you got to have exact value. And then with someone like Jimmy, like I think the team to beat said, I mean, Jimmy's 36, 37, and he's wanting more money. And a lot of these teams, if they're on a younger timeline, why am I paying Jimmy Butler $37 to $38 million for however long. And if he falls off a cliff, now I've got this, sunken cost, basically,
The Suns like him. The Suns like those type of players.
Yep, they say they wouldn't give him a contract. They said they wouldn't give him a contract extension, so they love it. They love it when
they're saving money on hot dogs and food, right? So they'll save that money for Jimmy. Give him $60 million a year.
But for a question for you guys though, if we're going to give Jimmy to the Suns or to the Grizzlies or to the Warriors, in return, we're talking about getting a star in return. Are you guys okay with getting some role players and draft pieces?
Yeah, can I answer that?
I'll follow up. Go ahead.
Yo, listen. I honestly, the Desmond Bane thing, it's not happening. Let's be honest, it's not happening. They're lowballing us. They're lowballing us. Jimmy right now has no trade value. That's what it's being reported.
Zero.
Yeah, at all. But what I will take though, and these are probably names that some people probably don't want. But listen, I'm taking a Kennard. I'm taking a Clark. You're gonna have to take a Smart or John I can never say his name. John Conker. There's some players over there, Jalen Wells. I like Gigi Jackson. Like those type of players, I'd rather just take and get players or expiring deals so we can free up in 2026. Like this team ain't winning. We're not doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. Jimmy or not, we're not doing anything. So there's no point of us taking a Bane and Tyler and Bam and say, okay, new big. It's not realistic. You let the team play out this year, see what happens. Take these players. So if they perform well, you keep one of them on a minimum deal or mid-level exception, whatever the case may be. But you just get rid of Jimmy. That's for the Memphis deal. So that's what I would take. I like a lot of their young guys. I like expiring contracts to get ready for 2026.
Yeah, if you're trading let's call Jimmy a playoff superstar, former all-star type player, you're never going to get fair value. You're going to get pennies on the dollar. You got to shoot, like for what Trent is saying, for a young and up-and-coming type of player. That's why the Heat just stated, if we trade with the Warriors, we want Kuminga. They might not be willing. We could deal with him, and his extension is like, it's not going to be a crazy extension because he has a rookie contract. So his next deal would be like the Tyler deal, $30 million a year. So if he balls out, he could do a rehearsal with us. But we need a player like that because when Paul George got traded from the Thunder to the Clippers, the OKC Thunder were like, all right, fine, give us the picks, obviously, but like give us a young, like up and coming prospect, like Trent mentioned Gigi Jackson or whoever. They got Shea Alexander. Like we didn't know he was averaging 11 points per game. He was raw. They never knew that they had that capability of getting a future MVP. Like we need someone young in return because we're not going to get a star.
We trust Spo to develop that player to do that?
Not lately.
Good question, Johnny. Good question.
But do we also, Trent, like the pieces that we're going to get, because they're saying we want a win now player. Why do we want a win now player after watching that game last night?
Who's the win now player?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there is.
Pat Riley said this again. Yeah. Who are we going to get? Because hey, let's be real.
We're not getting
one last point.
We're not getting one win now player.
Hey, last point though. Let's be real. We have. Hey, if we're building around Tyler and Bam now, those are 2-3 Those are 2 threes. Bam is a third option now. He's showing that, and I think Tyler Hero is a third option too. Like we don't have a number 2 option on this team. So even if we put a number 1 option there, we're still missing a piece possibly. Like a De'Aaron Fox, Tyler, and Bam. Like what is that going to do for us? Is that a championship team?
They ain't trading
solid.
What about Julius Randle? What do y'all think of getting?
What?
Get up there.
Get up there. He's too inconsistent.
Hey Johnny, come on, man.
Bro, come on.
He's 22 and 10 easily.
So
it's the efficiency rate and the use.
Is he gonna play defense?
Johnny
and the playoff choke artist.
Julius Randle plays defense.
He playoff choke artist.
Yesterday he only dropped 8 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah, he's not happy over there. Same thing with Jimmy. He's not
happy.
He's
a terrible playoff performer.
It's the playoffs because he could do good in the regular season. But
who are we gonna get to perform in the playoffs if we trade Jimmy? That's the point. We gotta get something.
You're not getting nobody.
And he has an expiring contract which he's trying to play for.
But they're on the second April, so you gotta get exact value.
They make the same amount of money.
Julius Randle's considered a star player. We're not getting that. I'm telling you.
That's what we get for Jimmy.
We're not getting the star player for Jimmy. We're gonna.
Listen to me, guys.
Hey, John, we're going to have to settle for those younger guys, like Trent said. We're going to have to get a Gigi Jackson type player.
No, that's because of Pat Riley. That's because of Pat Riley.
No, that's because of Jimmy.
That's why we're going to get that. It's because of Pat Riley.
It's because
Let
of
me
Pat
ask y'all
Riley.
something.
Pat
Let me
Riley
ask
is
y'all something.
afraid of star players. He doesn't want no player that's gonna come in and change the quote unquote culture. He has to change that mentality.
Yo, this nigga's
But
chat right
Johnny,
now.
is that Pat or is that Nikki and Nick?
Pat.
Is that Mickey and Nick?
That's Pat.
I
That's
think
Pat.
Mickey. I
That's
think Mickey and
Pat.
Nick is escaping some blame in there, man. I think they
Nah,
using Pat as the face of
Nick
their
maybe,
shit.
Nick maybe, but remember when
Yeah,
Pat
Nick making the choices.
Pat was named the president, that means he controls the basketball operations. He is usually in the name when it comes to those stars. When LaMarcus,
Listen, the reason why I say
forget,
that, let me make a point real quick, and then I'll mute my mic and y'all can chime in, right? The reason I say that is because I just thought about like when Bill made that interview and he said he spoke to Pat. And he said, all right, I'm with it. Let me just go back and he got to talk to the owners then. And that man called back and said, I can't do it. So hey, that just occurred to me like maybe I can't really blame Pat and say it's all on Pat. It got to be the owners too. And I think they've escaped a lot of blame, all the blame. We haven't mentioned their name one time since we've been on here. You know what I'm saying? That's just a point with Bill. Who knows about Kyrie, Dame? Who knows what's going on? I feel like they're just using Pat as the face.
Yeah. So for me, the thing is, like, when it goes back to all that is by them leaking the whole trade information, like all the leverage is gone. Like in a perfect world, the Heat are better off. Like in a perfect Heat situation, send Jimmy home, doesn't play the rest of the year, declines the $55 million option, and now you have a shit ton of cap release. But Jimmy's petty enough that if you send him home, he ain't declining that next year option. He's gonna take the 55-year option and then just not play. Like, so at this point, you have to move him, but there is no leverage to move him. So it really is like, I guess the Kuminga deal is the best that you're gonna get. Kuminga and a few picks.
Golden State's backing out.
But then this is the other thing.
Houston.
Like, do you really want to pay Kuminga to be that next guy for the next 4 years? Like, is Kuminga really taking us over that hump? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so.
He fits perfectly.
The Warriors already said that they are not they're not giving us Kuminga, they're not giving us Andrew Wiggins. So we just have to cut that out.
No,
I mean,
because they would have to shuffle a bunch of players with it. That's why.
Yeah, they would have to do a bunch
contracts.
of them, and I don't think they're doing that.
That's why they don't want to do it, because in their
I'll
mind
take
they're like,
Pozemki
okay.
too. I'll take Brandon Pozemki. I'll take Moody and 2 firsts.
Yeah, but at that point, they're saying we're giving you damn near the entire roster for one guy.
Jimmy.
Yeah,
for a guy we're not going to re-sign. We're not going to.
No, yeah, it's gonna have to be at that point. It has to be more than Jimmy. Yeah, at that point, you're gonna have to include like a Triple J or a Jovic or something like that. They're gonna want something in return if they're gonna flip the roster like that.
What I will say, when this trade happens, don't be upset. You're gonna look at the trade and be like, "Who the hell are these players?" Don't be surprised. That's what the trade is gonna happen.
100%.
It's gonna happen
You're
real
right.
soon. You're gonna be like, "Yo, I don't know, just throw a name out there, Jalen Wells and who this?" If you don't watch basketball, you're not gonna know these young guys. But you're gonna be like, "What?
Yep.
What?" Like, bro, that's his trade value. I mean,
Yep.
like when you get these superstar players get traded, you're never gonna get anything good in return. It is what it is. This league is run by picks. We don't even, bro. The teams that we're trying to trade with, they're all contenders. They traded it like they're all contenders. It's not like we're trying to trade them to like OKC, and then OKC can offload mad picks. So OKC don't want Jimmy. So it's just like it's gonna be tough, and we're gonna have to deal with it. It is what it is, and this is gonna be the future of the Miami Heat. Tyler and Bam, like it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Now we're definitely going to get into that, but real quick, we have my boy on the platform. We have Sports Time Zone. Just real quick, go over your overall, just with Pat Riley, with Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. Like, what is going on right now with this Miami Heat team? But before you do that, please plug in your show as well.
Yo, no, hold on. Not to cut you off, yo. This dude in the comment, yo, Kevin Landon. I don't know how old you is. If you 22, 20. Yo, if you have your girl, I'll take your girl anytime. Like, let's be honest. Yo. Shut your mouth, nigga.
Yo, wow.
Go ahead, Newsy.
All right, yo, salute, Miami Heat Zone. Appreciate you for having me on. Once again, yours truly. My name is Wagwan, Mr. Brother Numsi, representing the Sports Time Zone. Salute to my whole panel, all the boys at the Sports Time Zone, my co-host TZ Dave, my man Pressure, also my man Diesel Greasel, and my producer Q the Beat. We the only podcast bringing you two different generations take on sports. Real quick, I was listening. All my boys are watching as well. I'm going to jump in real quick about Pat Riley, because I know that was the initial question, the thoughts about Pat Riley, and then it shifted over to Bam, and now we're talking about the state of the Heat and where we're going to go from here. Look, listen, I can't stand Paul Pierce at all. He's my least favorite player in the entire world, in the history of sports, probably. But in this case, he was spot on when it came to Pat Riley. The history of Pat Riley and the way that he's done players that's contributed to the Heat. Pat Riley. I know I'm a 90s Heat fan. So I remember when Pat Riley ran Tim Hardaway out of town. All right. He also did the same thing with Shaq. Did the same thing with LeBron. Did the same thing with D Wade. They all left at some point due to issues with Riley. No superstar has ever parted ways with Pat Riley on good terms. It just doesn't happen when it comes to Pat Riley. Riley is like 80 years old, and he's become like an arrogant, stubborn, bitter old man who just doesn't want to change. And he will spite his team to the detriment because he's trying to spite a player. He'll spite his team and hurt his team because he's trying to preserve his ego, and he would rather sacrifice chemistry and winning just so because he has his constant need to show that he's bigger than the player. All right. And then Bam Adebayo, real quick on Bam. I love Bam. God bless his soul. But Bam is not an offensive scorer. He is a defensive specialist. He's a glorified role player, if I may. He's not going to give us 30. I mean, we'll be lucky if he gives us 20. That's just not his role. We've been trying to force him to be something he's not, trying to force a square piece into a circle. It's not going to make it, just like I say on my show, not going to make it with Bam. Teams are going to lowball us, and they're going to attempt to fleece us to try to get as little as they can for Jimmy Butler. The minute that it came out that Jimmy didn't want to be on the team, teams were already trying to see how low they can get Jimmy for. So we're not going to get much out of Jimmy. Pat Riley, again, he was a great coach. He was an excellent mastermind. But if we look at Pat Riley's resume, outside of that 2006 championship run with Shaq and D Wade, outside of the big three that was recruited by D Wade, not Pat Riley. So let's keep it a buck. Pat Riley didn't orchestrate that big three. That was D Wade getting his recruiting on. Prior to that, Pat Riley's last championship was with Irving Magic Johnson. Irving Magic Johnson in 1988. Where half of us were toddlers. That some of us that are even watching this wasn't even born when that happened. So he's built this reputation and he's built this egotistical way of thinking just based on the fact and on the strength of his glory days. I don't want to compare him to Jerry Jones. I don't want to compare Pat Riley to Jerry Jones, but he gives me Jerry Jones vibes with this whole, I'm going to do it my way or the highway. Superstar players deserve and will get special treatment nowadays. This is not the 80s. This is not the 70s. That's just the way the NBA works right now. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, think that we need a new, younger GM with a more modern approach to building a team. It probably won't happen because Mickey Arison and Pat Riley are joined at the hip. But a lot of this slander that's coming towards Jimmy, I think is unwarranted. Jimmy Butler carried us to the finals 2 times. He's carried us to the conference finals 3 times with minimal help, with a Bam Adebayo who's not an offensive scorer, as well as a Tyler Hero who was injured for the majority of our playoff runs. He gave it everything he had. That image of Jimmy Butler humped over in the bubble, giving everything he's got, it seems like now that's gone to the wayside and people are calling him a traitor, saying he quit on the team. If you're an employee and you're outworking everybody else in the organization and management doesn't want to give you the tools that you need to succeed, you ask for a transfer. It's just what we do. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Well, before isn't Mickey's son the GM, not Pat Riley? Isn't one of the Arison boys the GM?
Well, Pat Riley is the head.
I mean, he's the head of everything. But I'm just saying, but I think that they got the guy doing the gym. But go ahead, but you cooking, brother. Go ahead, man. You cooking, bro.
Yo, Pat and Sport are like Stephen Jones and Jerry. And the thing is, too, Jerry will never fire people that he's comfortable with. Because I'm a Cowboys fan, if you guys didn't know. And yo, Davey, your team's ass. Your team is trash.
We beat y'all though, didn't we? Oh, okay.
You have less losses. I mean, you have.
Oh man, everything we have. We still beat y'all.
I know.
Y'all lost today too, so it's cool. Just know that this trash team beat your trash team.
So we got a higher pick. We got a higher pick.
But what I'm trying to sum up is saying, like, Jimmy wanted more help. That was his whole thing about his complaint to management. He's 35 and he's being ran into the ground. That's the reputation that Miami has for doing, running players into the ground when they are nearing their prime or past their prime. Miami has become a retirement home. The Miami Heat, what we do is we go out here and get these players that are past their prime, that are pretty much close to retirement, and try to squeeze the life out of them. We try to squeeze everything we can get out of them and then get some D-League players to come in and then say, oh, this is Heat culture. But what we're doing is creating a reputation that is making other star players not want to come here. We're not going to get no star players because players
That's what
talk.
I was saying. That's what I was
Players
saying,
talk.
brother.
They see how Pat Riley has treated the laundry list of superstars and what would entice anyone from coming here. We struck out with Giannis, struck out with KD, struck out with Dame, struck out with Donovan Mitchell, struck out on every major superstar that we've tried to get because don't nobody want to come here. It's straight up. And the common denominator is Pat Riley. His glory days are over, and we have to start looking towards the future. But I don't think it's going to happen no time soon. Pat Riley is going to have to die to come out of that position. He's not going to willingly take himself out of that position. So something's got to give.
All facts.
Yeah, Pat Riley was the reason. Pat Riley was the same reason why LaMarcus Aldridge didn't sign here. Remember when he was a free agent, he had a meeting with Pat Riley, and Pat Riley told this man, go sign somewhere else for a year and then come back. And I was like, why would you tell somebody that? Why not just give him the offer that he wants right now and sign him to the team if you really want him?
Because
why would
he wanted
you?
Kevin Durant, and he's doing the same thing right now. He's trying his
But
best
it makes
to
no
get
sense.
Anthony.
Get somebody here now
does.
so you can get somebody the next season.
He's trying
the
to
way he
make the
thinks
next
doesn't make
brilliant
sense
move.
sometimes.
He's trying to do another LeBron. He's trying to think 3 years ahead.
He don't have that. He don't have a Dwayne Wade here to be able to do that. So
No. But the thing is, in 2026, it's supposed to be a huge free agency, and I think, listen, Johnny's definitely right. Pat Riley, even though he is senile sometimes, he does think somewhat ahead, and I definitely think he is looking forward to that 2026 offseason. But Michael, and then we're gonna go to G Mike. Just overall, like when you really think about players coming to the Miami Heat. This is a huge topic right here from Dolph Will. That's a lie. People didn't want to play with Jimmy Butler. What do you guys think about that? And then we're going to go to Ernie, and then we're going to go to a Johnny. What do you guys think about players? There was a huge thing where, like, allegedly that Donovan Mitchell didn't want to come to the Miami Heat because he didn't want to play with Jimmy. What do you guys think about Jimmy Butler with his character? And do you guys think that maybe prohibited players from coming to the Miami Heat? We'll start off with Mike, then G Mike, and then we'll go to Ernie.
So I'm a Bulls fan. So, I remember when Jimmy was Jimmy Buckets, when we traded him to Minnesota for freaking Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine. And, I think the Jimmy thing is weird. It's weird because you have the Minnesota situation, right, where he basically implodes or explodes on Cat/Andrew Wiggins, right? And then he leaves there. Then he goes to Philly, but he's only there for a year anyways, and then he leaves. I think Jimmy has always wanted to be the guy, like in the situation. Like he wants to be known as like, I am the alpha, like I am the number one guy. We run it through me, and everything else will, sort itself out below him, right? And I think when you look at it sometimes like objectively, right? Like if they've got a Kevin Durant, if they got even like a Donovan Mitchell or something like that, right? I think that stardom is challenged in a way. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily the players straight up just being like, I don't want to play with Jimmy, like he's terrible or whatever. But you also don't see, I mean, you guys probably know more than me, but like even in like, the interviews with other players in the time since, Jimmy's come out, a lot of dudes haven't necessarily gone out of their way to be like, Jimmy's a great guy in the locker room, like we need Jimmy, blah, 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 blah. Like there's not a whole lot of, like guys coming out for him. Like no one's really coming out right now being like, Jimmy, let's get Jimmy what he needs, blah, blah. Like you don't see that. So clearly that has to mean something. Like that has to mean something. Like when your teammates aren't even picking a side and like not even like trying to at least throw their hat to be like, let's get him back. We can't wait for him to come. Like they're not doing that. So that has to mean something. I do think there is some validity of maybe guys don't want to deal with someone who thinks that he's way better than he actually is.
I think another thing to that, if I could just jump in real quick, I think another thing to that is they've defended him over the years. Whenever Jimmy was hurt, they defended him during that time. They probably feel like they don't have to do it now, or they shouldn't have to do it now. That could be another thing. If you look at just look at the quote unquote big three, Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. Look at how much they hang out, and just in the offseason. think about when Jimmy first got there, how much they freaking just were just around each other. They have a great relationship. So they feel like sometimes when you have a good relationship with someone, you feel like you don't want to jump in a situation that doesn't involve you. You may want to voice your opinion on it, but the thing is, you probably have already voiced your opinion before, and you feel like now it's falling on deaf ears. There's really no point in talking about it because Jimmy already has his mindset, and everybody knows Jimmy. When Jimmy has his mindset, he has his mindset. He's not changing. No matter who you are, no matter how much he loves you, no matter how much he cares about you, when he has a decision to make and he says that he wants to do something, that's what he's going to do.
And also, just to really chime in on that, a lot of it could be that the teammates are afraid. They see how Pat Riley comes down with the hammer of vengeance. They could be afraid to speak up in defense of Jimmy because, okay, Jimmy just got suspended for saying that he doesn't have any joy in playing basketball. So
which is a lie. Go ahead.
So what happens? Well, I feel you, but what happens to Bam if he says, anything in respects to that, or Tyler, or anybody? So everybody's like, "Yo, I don't want no smoke with management. I don't want no smoke with Pat. I don't want none of that." And then really to touch on, how Jimmy, people are saying, "Oh, Jimmy, his departures from every team has ended." That's not true. Outside of Minnesota, he didn't really leave Chicago on horrible terms. It's not like, he was a locker room cancer and they just had to get rid of him.
It was more so. I think the Chicago thing was more so between him and Rajon Rondo. And
exactly.
It was that situation with that. That's why Jimmy was gone. And when I talk about Philly, it's because the coach, who was soft at that time, decided to stick with Tobias Harris instead of sticking with Jimmy Butler. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, for me, it's different. It's not about how Jimmy was; it's how he was treated by somebody else.
Exactly. But the point is that Jimmy is an All-NBA player. He gets a max contract. These teams don't want to pay him a max contract. So Chicago didn't want to pay him a max contract. They sent him to Minnesota. He gets to Minnesota and tells Minnesota, "You got to pay me. I'm him. Y'all got to know that I'm him." They didn't like that. They were like, "We're not paying you." We already see how horrible Minnesota is as a franchise. So he goes to Philadelphia, and it's the same thing. They get a chance to have a star player in Jimmy, and they don't choose Jimmy. Jimmy chose us because we were the right fit for Jimmy. This was the right thing. When he came to us in 2020, none of us could sit here and say this was not a good fit. Jimmy knew what he was getting into with Pat Riley as well. But what happened was Jimmy became a real star by going to the finals twice. And because you're a real star, you make more money outside of the league. So he's just basically telling Pat Riley, like, "Listen, I'm here for the long run. Give me my money. You guys have a bad reputation. I'm trying to get players over here." He tried to get Damian Lillard. He tried to get other guys to come. But like the brother at the bottom said, people don't want to come to Miami. You have to make a decision when you come to Miami. There's a lot of sacrifices that the Miami Heat make other players do that you don't have to do on other franchises. Jermaine O'Neal did not sign with the Big Three Heat because he's like, "I'm going to eat Oreos." He was like, "I have to eat Oreos or you know what I'm saying?" Like, that's what he was saying. Like, I got Pat Riley telling me I can't eat Oreos. I'm a grown man. I can't eat Oreos because you want me to be a specific size coming into training camp. And now, mind you, no other team has this but Miami Heat.
No, he culture. That's what Pat Riley put out there. That's what I said.
Dwayne Wade has to apologize to his best friend Carmelo Anthony because they can't even dap hands up before a game because Pat Riley wants to make some rule that you can't be friends with your friends before a game. Like, these players are beyond this. This is not the 1900s. This ain't Charles Oakley. This ain't John Starks who you picked up in a grocery store and now you give him a contract. These guys are real professional athletes and they deserve the respect. You are paying for the reputation that the Heat have been tarnished about. The players don't want to come here. Why do you think Damian Lillard listened to the NBA? I know you always say it's the media and the NBA sent him a letter. He listened because at the end of the day he said, "Well, Milwaukee or Pat Riley."
That wasn't his choice. That was Joe Cronin's choice.
No, he could have still said the same thing. He said, "I want to go to Miami," because he wanted to play with Jimmy.
He was going to be fined every single time or suspended. That's different.
They can't do that. They can't
do that. The NBA gave him a letter. They sent him a letter.
I know they did that, but I'm saying there's no rules that a player can't do. That's the whole point. You couldn't do that.
Adam Silver is a different kind of a commissioner. He was definitely going to fine him or suspend him.
I don't think there's rules to that, but the GM definitely for the Portland Trailblazers got petty and he said, "Nah, forget that. I'm not sending you where you want to go. I'm gonna send you."
Dame made it clear that he wanted to come to Miami and play beside
just like Martell said. Every player has that power. Dame Lillard had that power. He just gave up.
And this also goes back to Pat Riley and his arrogance. His reputation with other GMs and other presidents aren't that great. Nobody really wants to make a deal with him. When there was issues with him and I'm sorry,
Danny Ainge,
Boston Celtics GM. They said that it was just a personal beef with him. But let's look at the real. We don't really have any trade assets right now. And the reason we don't have the trade assets, let's look at what Pat Riley has done. Pat Riley, he's went and he brought Kyle Lowry here to get fat and go and run off to Philadelphia. Then
he was already fat. He was already fat.
He was fat before that, but then he came and he did the balloon thing. He gave Duncan Robinson $90 million.
Kyle Lowry.
Actually, he lost weight in his second year. In his second year, he lost like 13 pounds.
But then he blew right back up too, G Mike. He blew up after that. He was fluctuating. We give Duncan Robinson $90 million to forget how to shoot. We give Tyler Hero
Westbrook. They gave Westbrook like $7 million, some crap like that, $12 million. We could have easily got Westbrook.
We all gonna forget we paid Hassan Whiteside $90 million.
Oh my gosh.
We all gonna forget about that.
We gave Tyler Hero at the time. He was missing 20 to 30
Tyler Johnson. We gave him
No. Tyler Johnson, it was different. He
matched the Nets off.
That was the difference.
Yeah.
The Nets.
Yeah, we made an offer for him. Which is a terrible match. But yeah, like it is. Like we panicked. Like
we ain't matched that. That was the smartest thing Pat did was not match that contract.
Horrible.
Guys, so real quick, because I want to start with Ernie. Right before we close, does Spo deserve some smoke too? Because he's out here throwing out some terrible lineups. I will always go to bat with Spo because I feel like people discredit him because he had the big three, but people don't really understand that he's been given a piss poor roster, and the fact that he's been able to drag these undrafted guys, Jimmy and Bam, to the NBA Finals, to multiple Eastern Conference Finals. So let's start with Ernie, and then we're going to go around the horn and close, and then everyone will be able to plug their channel. Guys, there's 485 people in here. Make sure that you guys go to their platforms. I will drop all their links. Go to their platforms, hit that subscribe button, and we will definitely do this again. But Ernie, let's start off with you. Does Spo deserve some of the blame? And then we're just going to go up to Nick, G, Mike, Trent, and then we're going to go all the way up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I know Trent brought this up before, bringing up Spo. And, man, listen, for me, I'm always going to be a biggest Spo lover. Like, I think Spo's the best coach in the NBA. I think Spo is that guy. But this year, the fact that we were playing Kevin Love before giving Ware minutes was atrocious. The Detroit Pistons collapse at the end of the game. The fact that he gave up that inbounds play, and the fact that he called that timeout knowing you didn't have any. Spo's never done that. Like, that is not Eric Spoelstra. I saw that game, and I'll never forget. I reached out to somebody saying, yo, Spo might be cooked this year. No disrespect. I think Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, and I still think he could be a top-tier coach. So to answer your question, he deserves some blame, but I ain't going to put this season. I'm not going to put the Jimmy situation. I'm not going to put Pat Riley's arrogance. I think if the Heat have 10 problems, Spo is number 11. Has he regressed? Sure, but I don't think he's a big issue for Spo.
He's going through a divorce too, so that's like another thing that's on his mind 24/7.
He's a human, so yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right.
At the end of the day,
divorce is finalized.
And he got his contract
but you're still the after effects are still there.
No, you're right. It's still different. Yeah, it's a different scenario.
But that Pistons game, that timeout and that situation, that's not an Eric Spoelstra thing, man. We all know that. That's not the Spo that we know. So that was just an indication of how the season was going to play out, I guess.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick point about I saw a comment that said people wanted to come here because of Bam. Dame was talking to Jimmy, Kyrie was talking to Jimmy, Donovan was talking to Jimmy. Jimmy was a part of it too. I just want to make that very clear. Stop with the Bam shit. People wanted to play with Jimmy as well. If y'all remember, Kawhi wanted to play with Jimmy over in LA before Paul George. So let's make that very clear. People want to play with Jimmy. That's number one. Number two, I don't put that much blame on Spo because I think he's trying the best with the cards that he's dealt. And he's just trying to work with things. The man changes his lineup pretty much every game. So I think he's just trying to twerk things, see what works, what works, point blank and period. And it's on the front office, man. They got to do better. They got to give him better pieces to work with. They got to stop with this. We feel like we can win this bullshit. Like, the fans ain't buying it no more. They're going to start losing the fan base. They're going to start losing ticket sales. I've already seen people talk about it. So, no, I don't really blame Spo like that. I think he's trying his best.
Go ahead, G, Mike.
Just to end it up with everything going on, with the Jimmy situation, the whole trade situation, there's only two ways to go about it right now. It's either extend him and pay the man so he could be happy, because he says that he's happy off the court. So for sure, it's not problems in Miami. It's just problems dealing with the organization. Or we trade him right now, we get some assets, some draft picks, and we move on from this. That's it. It is what it is. With Bam, he's got to be, like I mentioned earlier, he's got to be more aggressive on offense. Yes, he's not that type of player. I agree with Buddy Below that what he was mentioning earlier. But he needs to be that type of player, because that's what we need. And then with just pieces in return that we need as an overall team to try to make either a playoff push or to try to do a little damage in the playoffs is we need, like Leon Cook said in the comments there, we need a big a rebounding five that's going to help out Jimmy to move him to the 4 spot so he could play the actual position that he was meant to play when he came into the league. And we need another consistent scorer to pair up with Tyler Hero, because Terry Rozier is clearly not doing it for us when we thought that he was going to be that guy for us, but he is not. So I think De'Aaron Fox would be a good piece, but do I think that is going to bring us championship hopes this season or maybe next season? No, because the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks and how they're all lined up together and how they're playing lately have been on a tear. So I don't think we're going to get to that hump, but those are things that I think that we need to do moving forward.
Trent?
Yeah, I kind of already said what I had to say earlier, but one thing I will say is third quarters just doesn't make sense to me. Third quarters, whatever you want to call them, that's on coaching. You come out at halftime and somehow you're worse coming out in the third quarter, being one of the worst third quarter teams, that's on coaching. And it doesn't matter what players we get, because he's just going to be stubborn and still play the players he want to play. Burke should have been in the rotation. He's now cracking rotation. Every time Burks plays, he plays good basketball for us, and then he goes into DMP. So Spo's going to keep being stubborn. Pat's going to keep being stubborn, and this is just going to be a repeated cycle at the end of the day. Jimmy's finally probably going to get traded, but this team is going to stay mid-pack for the next 5 years or so. So, yeah, but go Heat. And that OKC versus Celtics game today, that's a preview of the finals. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, that's going to be a bomb finals.
Go ahead, Michael.
In terms of Spo, I think it's weird, because Spo should technically be able to develop some of these young players, right? Because we usually credit him for these undrafted players turning into what they turn into. So at the same time, though, I wonder, where does the scouting of everything go to? Because when you get to the draft and you actually have a first-round pick, right, and you get Kyle Ware, which makes perfect sense, you then barely use them. And then when you do have an opportunity to use them, like in that inbound play, you don't have Kyle Ware, and you have Bam, who is just not that good of a rebounder. Bam is just not that good of a rebounding big. There are still nights, I don't know if you guys ever get shots, when you go on, you look at the box score, and you see Tyler Hero will have more rebounds than Bam. And you're like, what the hell is this?
Actually happened last week.
Yeah, it's at some point, too, I agree with Trent. The arrogance from Spo and the I've done this for however long, and therefore I can just do it however I want to do it. You have to adapt with your situation. What you have is just not good. You have to be better. You have to know your personnel better. And he tries to throw all these things at the wall, but at some point, I don't know. I think he gets some blame, but I agree with G Mike. I can't put it that high up there. I don't think he's that high on the list. Now, if it comes out, years from now that Spo was a big reason to why everything fell apart, then I guess it's a different story. But for now, I can't really blame him too much.
Go ahead, Noomsy.
Yeah. I've said this about Spo a lot on my show as well. I don't want to beat him up too much because I think he's a great coach. I really do. But I think he's just like Pat Riley, is a little bit stubborn. He gets locked into wanting to play a certain type of way, and he's going to force it with this small ball. I do think we need to develop Khalil Ware a little bit. I think he needs to get in there, just throw him into the action now. If Jimmy's on the way out, let's go ahead and start the Khalil Ware era now. Let's go ahead and get him in, get him some experience, get his feet wet. But Spo doesn't really like to play rookies. So then there's that. At the same time, Spo, he baffles me with his rotation sometimes. We'll have a rotation that's working and then he'll yank somebody. He doesn't really match up well. We'll be playing against a team that has a lot of size, and then we don't utilize the size that we have to counter that. So that's a need. We need to address that as far as Spo. And we also need to see if we can get a quality point guard. I know that the De'Aaron Fox thing is that would be the best case scenario. I think right now, as far as making trades, I don't know that that'll happen, but I think that's probably the best case scenario if we could pull that off. But I just don't see it happening. And my man up top had said that we're going to be a mid-tier team. I think you were being extra generous with that. I'm thinking that we might we're starting to look like a lottery team. I mean, the way that we got taken behind the woodshed and beat by a Utah team like that, to that extent, I don't know if that was just like a karma thing or if Bam is trying to send a message with the way that he's playing or whatever the case is, but it don't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't really have high hopes for this season. I just hope that we can get the most out of this Jimmy trade. And as far as Coach Spo, I just hope he starts to change his way of thinking as far as his personnel usage and the way that he runs the team. And that's really all I got as far as Spo is concerned.
Now, Johnny, go ahead, and then we're going to go to Davey, and then we're going to close out, but everyone's going to plug their channels. Once again, guys, make sure that you guys go to their channels. Their links will be in the description. We have almost 500 people in the building. Make sure that you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, go to their platforms. And it's like what Daytona Beach said, that he appreciates all the participants, real talk, and we will do this again. Like, I think that it was a solid show. But go ahead to Johnny, and then go ahead, Davey.
So again, for me, I've always told everybody this, and our problem is we don't have a ball facilitator. We really don't have a good floor general on offense, and that's what we were missing when we let Kyle Lowry go, because Kyle Lowry was just such a great ball facilitator and floor general. If we can get our hands on a point guard in some form or fashion, everything will change for the Miami Heat. You'll see a better Spoelstra, you'll see a better Bam, you'll see a better everybody. The problem is that we don't have a ball facilitator, somebody to get us in our offense, so we get to those spurts like the Detroit game or those third quarters where it really doesn't matter what Spo is drawing up. These guys are just all catch and shoot guys. We don't really have anybody who can penetrate and attack the basket. Bam's the one who can really do that, and Jimmy, but we don't have Jimmy no more. And just to let y'all know, Kuminga's out for the next 3 weeks. I just got the report. He has a sprained ankle, so he's probably not going to be available for any kind of trade, even though they said they're backing out. At the end of the day, we just need to make a trade for a point guard. D'Angelo Russell's out there. Van Vliet is out there. There's somebody we can grab that can help us, because we really just need somebody to help get that ball movement and create offense at attacking the basket. And once we can do that, everything else will fall into place. We're not going to get Khalil Ware on the floor. Spo's never going to let him get the minutes. And it's always going to be a thing where Spo's just going to put the players, like he said, he feels at that time is the players he can trust. It's all about a trust thing and commitment into your quote-unquote staying the course. So we just got to find a point guard, man. If we get a point guard, and it'll be Biscayne in June. Trust me when I tell y'all that.
Go ahead, Davey.
I think everyone has pretty much said the same thing. I think the only thing I want to add is that we do have young players that I think we definitely need to look at, not just Khalil Ware, but Isaiah Stevens is a point guard that we have that can facilitate. Give him an opportunity to see what he can do. We have Josh Christopher. We saw what he could do. Give him an opportunity. Keyshawn Johnson. We have some young guys that we should give an opportunity to, since we know that Jimmy's not going to be here. You pretty much can say that we're pretty much going to throw the season away. You can pretty much say that right now. Khalil, but I do agree with Noon when he said that Spo does not like to play rookies. He did that with every rookie he's had. When Tyler first got here, the only reason why he got the playing time is because we needed him at that time. And we had Bam. We didn't necessarily play him that much. He was behind Hassan Whiteside. Remember we had Hassan Whiteside here. Hassan Whiteside was getting most of those minutes. And now with Khalil Ware, we played Thomas Bryant, who is not good. Let's be honest about it. Then we were playing Kevin Love, who, like Trent said, he can't move. We were playing guys who were not in position to help us win. Let's put it that way. If we don't have guys in position to put us win, to put someone out there that can develop and help us win. Because we drafted Khalil Ware because Bam does not want to play the 5 anymore. He wants to be a 4. He said he plays his best as the 4. We drafted a guy that we can put at center. I'm not saying start him right away, but give him minutes. Give him 20, 25 minutes a game. That's more deserving than to give those minutes to Kevin Love and Thomas Bryant. That's something that involves Spoelstra. Spoelstra's been here long enough, and he has the cachet to play the players he wants to play. He's playing Pele Larson. If you can play Pele Larson, then you can play Khalil Ware. Khalil, where's the person you drafted versus? You mean to tell me the guy you drafted in the second round is more ready than Khalil Ware?
Right.
Khalil Ware, once we sent him to the G League, he had a double-double, almost a triple-double in the first game in the G League, and then he followed up with a 23, 25-point game in the G League. It's like, okay, we know he can play, so why are we not giving him an opportunity to play now? That's my biggest issue when it comes to exposure sometimes, is that he likes to play his vets a little bit too much. It's like, I get it. You trust your vets, but you got to give these young guys an opportunity. Dwayne Wade was good because he got the opportunity. I get it. He was he was a number 3 overall pick, but you still give your young guys an opportunity. He was a first-round pick. It's not like we drafted Khalil Ware in the second round or he was an undrafted pick. Then I would understand it a little bit. But even if that's the case, you play undrafted rookies all the time. You played Duncan Robinson when he was undrafted. Why are you not playing your rookies when you need them to play, especially when you know you don't have the roster that you need? We needed a big man. We drafted a big man, so why are we not using him? That was the biggest issue. He's playing now, but it seems like it's a little bit too late.
So thank you guys once again for coming on the show. We're going to start with G Mike. Just plug your content. Let the people know where can they find you, and we're going to go through the horn again. Just plug all your social medias. Make sure that you guys go to their channels and hit that subscribe button. But go ahead, G Mike. Yeah,
guys, you can follow me on TikTok, IG, and YouTube at GMikeMedia _ on Twitter at George Mike Perez. My podcast, The G Perspective, is available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. Martel, appreciate you for inviting me on the Miami Heat Zone, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Nick.
What's up, everybody? Y'all can find me on X or Twitter, or whatever we're calling it nowadays, with Nick 2_NC. I'll make you laugh for sure. Hey, Martel, appreciate you, bro. Thank you for the platform, man.
Go ahead, Ernie.
Yeah, once again, man, I share the same sentiment. Thank you so much. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Negadababy. That's 3 A's, 3 Y's. I appreciate the love. It was great chatting up with y'all, man.
Trent?
Yeah, follow me on YouTube. Top Notch, give me the 15K. Heat Nation, about to get to 5K. And I got a podcast on the way too, man. So go check that out at Too Lit Podcast, man.
And go ahead, Michael.
Just follow me on YouTube, man. Amster Knows Hoops. You see the name over here, right there, nice and simple. Martel, again, as always, appreciate you, brother, for having me on. And yeah, go like and subscribe. You know what to do.
Brother Noomsy?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you again, Martel, for having me. Y'all can hit me up and holler at your boy on YouTube at Sports Time Zone, no spaces, at Sports Time Zone. Also on IG at Sports Time _zone. Holla, we'll be there. Salute.
Davey, and then we're going to close out with the Johnny.
You can find me on YouTube, Dave's Doghouse, and Refuse to Lose Sports. If you look at that behind, that's where you find me. I'm mostly on there. We do a show every Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. Dave's Doghouse is once a week, and you can also, if you see my name under where it says David Dallas, under is where you can find me on Instagram. So just follow me on there.
And then Johnny, go ahead, my man.
All right, yeah, like I said, peace and blessings. Thanks for having me on. We are the GOAT James Kingdom platform. We talk the hottest topic on the internet as far as basketball go, which is basically the GOAT debate. But I would like to have a Miami Heat show every week and would like to get with you fellas. If y'all are interested, I'm looking to get some guys together every Monday night to do a live just like this for 1 quick hour where we talk about the Heat, update everything that's going on with the Heat. I know Martel and you guys always going live and doing great shows, but I would love to have something if you guys are interested, because I love to talk the Heat more than talking about LeBron. So if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll reach out to you. We can definitely do that. But again, I'm A. Johnny from the GOAT James Kingdom platform right here on YouTube and other social media sites.
I'll get tired of talking about that bum too.
We're not going to get into that. Guys, there's still 447 people that are in the chat. Once again, wherever you guys are coming from, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We're pushing to 6,000 subscribers. Make sure that you go to their platforms, hit that subscribe button, and thank you guys for all the support. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Appreciate it.